Right now, even if you haven't fully noticed it yet, your inner and outer world are rearranging themselves. Subtle nudges in your thoughts, small pivots in the choices you're making, and those unexplainable flashes of clarity that seem to come out of nowhere. They're not coincidences. They're signals. Signals that something bigger is being constructed beneath the surface of your everyday life. And the very fact that you've arrived at this exact moment, listening to these words, isn't by accident. It's not chance. It's the evidence that you're standing at the very center of a transition that has already begun. The shift is underway, and once you fully recognize it, you'll never look at life through the same lens again. Think about how often it feels like you're just recycling the same day, with only the props changing slightly. You wake up, go through the familiar motions, maybe repeat an old argument you thought you'd left behind, maybe fall back into a habit you promised yourself you were done with. By nightfall, it almost feels like you've already lived this day 100 times. That's not in your imagination. That's the signature of a loop, a subtle but powerful cycle that pulls you back into the same emotional and mental territory again and again. Like clockwork, it shows up in all kinds of ways. Some people keep circling around procrastination, abandoning projects that once lit them up. Others keep finding themselves in relationships that replay the same script, just with different characters and new names. The endings always feel familiar. The details shift, but the outcome doesn't. Most people don't realize they're stuck in one of these cycles until frustration reaches a breaking point, and they're hit with that disorienting realization, I'm not actually moving forward. What makes it even trickier is how convincing surface-level change can appear. On paper, yes, you did take a new job. Yes, you did meet someone new. Yes, you did make an effort to start again with fresh intentions. And yet, months later, the energy feels eerily similar. It's like repainting the walls of a room without ever moving the furniture. Sure, the color looks fresh, but the space is still cluttered with the same weight that was there before. Picture someone restless in their career. They quit one position, thinking the next office or next boss will finally give them relief. But over and over, they end up in the exact same headspace, drained by colleagues, uninspired by the work, irritated by the grind. They keep switching scenery without shifting the inner foundation, the beliefs, fears, and unexamined assumptions driving their choices. And so, the cycle doesn't actually end. It's human to crave progress. It's also human to get fooled by the illusion of progress. It's like sitting down to watch what you believe is a brand new episode of your favorite show, only to realize 15 minutes in that you've seen every scene before. You start predicting the dialogue before the characters even speak. That's what life loops feel like. They trick you into believing you've stepped into new territory, but the script hasn't changed at all. And the weight of disappointment always lands the same way. Heavy, frustrating, exhausting. But here's the truth. Your brain isn't your enemy. It's not plotting against you. It's doing exactly what it was designed to do. Conserve energy by sticking to what it knows. Neuroscience shows us that repeated actions and reactions carve out neural pathways. Every time you respond the same way, criticize yourself, scroll to distract yourself, avoid speaking up, you're reinforcing those pathways. The brain says, this is efficient. Let's keep doing this. And so the loop deepens. Breaking it feels hard not because change is impossible, but because your biology prefers what's familiar. The saving grace, though, is the moment of recognition. That instant when awareness flickers on and you whisper to yourself, wait, this always ends the same way, doesn't it? That pause is not insignificant. That pause is the crack in the cycle. That's the first fracture where the light of new possibility seeps through. And here's the unexpected twist. These loops aren't punishments. They're not evidence that you're failing at life. What if they're signals instead of setbacks? What if the repetition is less about trapping you and more about pointing at what's outgrown? Every loop can be seen as a flashing indicator saying, this no longer fits who you're becoming. They're not curses. They're feedback. They're coded messages from your own system, telling you where growth is waiting. The moment you reframe them, from prisons into pointers, everything shifts. Suddenly, what once felt suffocating starts feeling like direction. Recognition is the first step, always. Nothing in life can shift until you first see it clearly. Imagine you're walking through a dense forest, stumbling over roots, brushing against thorns, frustrated because the path feels impossible. For a while, you might believe this is the only way forward, that struggle is inevitable. But the moment you pause, climb a small ridge, and see the bigger picture, that there's a clearer trail just a few steps away, everything changes. Recognition works the same way. It's not the finish line, but it's the light that shows you there's even a finish line at all. But the real transformation begins when alignment begins whispering into your life. And I do mean whispering. Alignment rarely arrives with a thunderclap, a billboard in the sky, or a dramatic movie moment. More often, it sneaks in quietly, almost shyly, weaving itself into the ordinary details of your days. Maybe it looks like an old friend suddenly reaching out after years of silence, at the exact time you've been craving connection. Maybe it's an unexpected opportunity, a new job, a new project, a new invitation, falling into your lap at the precise moment you're finally ready for it, even if you didn't know you were. Or perhaps it's as subtle as waking up one morning with a strange, unexplainable lightness. Nothing external has changed. Yesterday was as ordinary as ever, but somehow today feels different, like the weight has shifted slightly, like the air is clearer, like your system has exhaled. That's how alignment first introduces itself. Not through drama, not through fireworks, but through subtle nudges that are easy to miss if you're not paying attention. Through small reminders that your inner framework is shifting and the outside world is beginning to reflect it back to you. It's not about perfection. It's not about having your entire life polished and shining like glass. It's about those quiet changes, a softened reaction, a lighter choice, a new way of seeing, that tell you your system is beginning to click into place. At first, you might dismiss it. We're taught to think luck is random, that coincidences are just coincidences, that a good day doesn't mean anything beyond itself. But the truth is, they do mean something. They're evidence. They're proof. They're the early signals that the internal adjustments you're making are beginning to ripple outward, even if you can't trace the exact path. Small realignments compound in ways you can't immediately see. Like planting seeds in the soil, the growth happens underground before it ever breaks the surface. Think of someone who decides to spend less time scrolling on their phone at night. At first glance, it looks trivial. Who cares about 30 fewer minutes on a glowing screen? But within days, their sleep deepens. Within weeks, their mornings feel lighter. The fog lifts. Suddenly, they're reaching for an old guitar, or pulling out a sketchbook, or writing words they haven't written in years. That one micro shift, a simple decision to set the phone aside, begins rearranging their entire system. Energy that was once trapped and stagnant begins to flow again. It's as if the body, mind, and spirit had been waiting for a single door to crack open, and once it does, the breeze rushes in. It's like turning gears in a machine that had been jammed for years. For so long, the effort felt heavy, pointless, grinding against itself with no movement. Then, with one shift, the gears catch. Suddenly, the same amount of effort that once led nowhere begins generating momentum, and with momentum comes life. The system hums again, alive with possibility. That's what happens when alignment enters. The difference between stuck energy and flowing energy is subtle on the outside, but life-changing on the inside. To someone looking from the outside, it may seem like nothing has changed. You still wake up, go to work, cook dinner, but inside, one shift compounds into another. One decision clears a space for 10 more, and the ripple effect is exponential. One spark can ignite an entire forest once the conditions are right. And this isn't just poetic language. Science backs it up. Your brain has something called the reticular activating system, or RAS. It's a filter, a gatekeeper, deciding what information gets through to your conscious awareness. Think of it as the bouncer at the door of your mind. Whatever you tell it is important, it lets through. Whatever you don't, it keeps out. That's why when you start thinking about buying a certain car, you suddenly see it everywhere on the road. The cars were always there. Your brain just wasn't letting you notice them. The filter changed. When your inner framework shifts, when you stop feeding the same old loops and start adjusting your inputs, your filter changes too. Suddenly you begin noticing opportunities, connections, and pathways that were always nearby but invisible before. Life didn't magically change overnight. Your awareness did. Your filter finally allowed you to see what was there all along. And once you see it, you can act on it. you can step toward it. And that's when alignment compounds. That's why empowerment isn't about controlling every outcome, every detail of the future, every twist of fate. Control is a mirage, and chasing it will only leave you exhausted. Empowerment is about tending to the inputs, your beliefs, your environment, your actions, your attention. When those inputs evolve, the outputs naturally transform. Life stops feeling like a series of random blows you have to endure and begins to feel like a system that's working with you, not against you. You're no longer just surviving the chaos, you're co-creating with it. And here's the paradox. The moment people let go of identities that no longer fit, life starts rearranging itself almost immediately. For years, someone might cling to a draining relationship, convinced they can't survive without it, and nothing shifts. But the moment they finally release it, the moment they finally walk away, new doors open. Suddenly a job offer appears. Suddenly their health improves. Suddenly deeper friendships emerge. From the outside, it looks like coincidence. From the inside, it's alignment reorganizing the system. The release freed the gears. The machine could turn again. Think of it like tuning a radio. For years, you've been straining through static, catching fragments of music, but never the full song. Then one day, with the smallest twist of the dial, the signal comes in clear. The music had always been there, playing the whole time. You just weren't tuned to receive it. That's alignment. It doesn't create the song. It helps you hear it. And this is what life feels like when alignment takes over. Effort doesn't disappear. You still walk. You still work. You still show up. But it stops feeling like a constant uphill climb against gravity. The ground itself shifts to support your steps. Paths clear. The wind carries you. Outcomes that once felt rare and random begin showing up naturally, almost rhythmically, as if life itself has adjusted the tempo to match your pace. And here's something you need to notice. By the fact that you're still listening, still reading these words, you've already proven something. You're not where you were. You're not stuck in the loop you once thought you'd never escape. You are in the middle of a shift right now. Your system is already rewriting itself. That's why the old loops feel heavier, harder, more uncomfortable than ever, because they're no longer yours to carry. They don't fit. They don't align. They're the skin you've outgrown. This isn't about being behind. This isn't about being lost. This is about recognizing that you've been chosen for the next chapter. You're aligned with a version of yourself that's finally ready to emerge. The loops, they were never punishment. They were training ground. And the alignment, that's the invitation. That's the proof you're being guided forward. So allow yourself to build your system with intention. Stop waiting for some perfect future moment when everything will finally click. Trust the signals, even the small ones. The shift isn't waiting on the horizon, dangling like a carrot you'll never reach. It's here. It's alive. It's already moving through you in whispers, in nudges, in the smallest of choices. And the truth is, you're more ready for it than you realize. Because alignment is not about sudden explosions of change. It's about steady repatterning. It's about stacking small shifts until they tip the scale entirely. It's about listening when life whispers, so you don't need it to shout. And it's about remembering that you are never as stuck as you fear, and never as far as you think. Recognition opened the door. Alignment is walking you through it. And step by step, moment by moment, your system is already proving that you are not who you were yesterday, and you will not be who you are today, tomorrow. The gears are turning, the music is playing, the system is humming, and the next chapter has already begun.